Okay. Hello. Today I'm with my friend with an understanding I heard that national examination was not held for them. How teachers approach and prepare for the student and ensure their health. Hello. But I can hear your voice. Jelas nggak?
So we have Saturday and Sunday off.
Yeah, it's different from Indonesia because they school from Monday to Saturday. No. Saturday is sport and yeah.
Like a curriculum like that.
Curriculum, yeah. I forget. That on my last time when I'm on high school is Monday to Saturday.
First phase in March to isolate ourselves from the COVID-19. So all the schooling system is held online, but it's kind of a problem for my school because my school is not in the town. The line coverage is not that good because it's kind of in a rural area with all the palm oil estate. Yeah, so it's kind of problem with me and my kids. I was like teaching 2 class with each 30 pupils. So commonly average I only get like 10 pupils at the maximum. 10 pupils will join my class. And I cannot really force the other 20 because we understand their socio-economic. Maybe their parents have a phone but they don't have a phone, and probably their parents bring the phone to their work, thus leaving them with no phone. We could understand that. So it's kind of been a hardship for the rural kids compared to kids in the town area.
Wow, you are a pro teacher, right?
I'm a teacher.
Yeah. Hello, today I'm with my friend from Malaysia. We will not talk but sharing about the education system, especially about all impact of the COVID-19 pandemic on educational systems. So our purpose about educational about for teachers laws and students in this pandemic season. So in this first session, we will talk about education system. Also, Malaysia and Indonesia are in the same cluster. We call this Nusantara country, but obviously we have different education systems. So, such in Indonesia, we start a new program in the middle of the year. And in Indonesia, the school was divided in 3. So the primary school, and after the high school divided in 2. We call it sekolah pertama, sekolah menengah pertama is for 3 years. After 3 years, they continue the school for sekolah menengah atas, or we call sekolah menengah kejuruan. For each section is 3 years, and then for every section in the end, they will face national examinations. We call ujian nasionals before entering new school sections. So how about in Malaysia, Asnia? Maybe you can share some education system in Malaysia, especially in this pandemic seasons.
Okay, hi. First of all, my name is Asnia. I'm a school teacher, elementary school based in Malaysia, specifically in Sabah. It's a small state over here, known for its palm oil mills and other natural resources. Sabah is like a jewel of Malaysia. But I want to enhance Sabah in terms of infrastructure. It is not well developed compared to Kuala Lumpur, the peninsular area. Okay, so I will go deeper with you guys about this pandemic season, especially in the rural area of my profession, and we will delve into it. Okay, so like Mega Shinta said just now, that the system of examination in Malaysia, there are like 3 major. Okay, the first is for the elementary school, so we call it sekolah rendah. First of all, in Malaysia, there are like three major sekolah rendah. Sekolah kebangsaan, sekolah jenis kebangsaan Cina, sekolah jenis kebangsaan Tamil, in which three school they use different medium of language, lingua franca, to deliver their medium, to deliver their content. Like in kebangsaan, they use Malay, and SJKC, sekolah jenis kebangsaannya, use Chinese language. But we officially use Chinese Mandarin language from the mainland, okay? And then the last one is SJKT, sekolah jenis kebangsaan Tamil, okay? So you can see that starting from primary school, our schooling system is not that uniform. It's not really that centralized to accommodate our multicultural society, okay? And then for these elementary school kids, sekolah rendah, we have that one examination system called UPSR, Ujian Penilaian Sekolah Rendah. The SK, SJKC, SJKT. Okay, I start from where we left. Okay, so continue with that. SK, SJKC, SJKT, the three of these schools must sit for a centralized system examination called UPSR, because it is mandatory for them to sit for the test, for them to enable them to go to high school, junior high school. We just call it SMK. We don't have like SMP or SMA like you guys, but we have only one, SMK. Form, we call it tingkatan 1 or form 1 for pupils, 13 years old pupils, until form 2, form 3, form 4, form 5, it is 17 years old. Compared to you guys, SMA is like 18 years old, right? SMA kelas 3 is 18 years old, I think.
No, 18, but 17, I think. 6 years for a primary school. After that, sekolah menengah pertama is 3 years, 9 and 12 years. Itu wajib.
Oh, okay. So we have like SMK, you will be starting SMK starting at 13 years old until
13 years old. Yeah.
17 years old.
Yeah.
So by the time you finish high school, you will be a 17-year-old girl or woman or man, like that. Okay?
Yeah. It's clearly, I think, in like sekolah menengah atas is same like form 4 and form 5 in Malaysia.
Yeah,
But,
yeah.
In Indonesia, we have to take 3 years. So after form 6, I think. That's it.
Yeah, I think so, because we started to choose our major, science or arts major, in form 4 and form 5, just like you guys in SMA, I think.
Yeah,
okay,
that's
just
right.
because you have that test called UN, is it?
What?
Ujian Nasional.
Ujian Nasional, yes, it's a national examination for every the form 3, in Malaysia, form 3, form 6, and grade 6 in primary school. That's it. So 3 times.
Yeah, but over here we call it as SPM, Sijil Pelajaran Malaysia, for the high school.
Is it form 5 or form 6?
Yeah, 5. Form 6, it's SPM. A special thing about form 6 is that it is not a mandatory to take form 6, because there are the options like A-level, matriculation, or going for foundation in university. It's just that it is an option for some of the teenagers to take as PPM. Okay?
So if they are not took the form 6, they still have took the university class, or how?
Yeah.
After form 5, I mean after form 5.
After form 5, there are several options. Going to form 6 is the common one. Going to matriculation and then going to training institutes such as teacher training institute like me, and then you can also go to university foundation years. Foundation year is only 1 year, or you can go to A level. Usually people going for A level is going abroad, okay?
Oh,
Because it's A level for going abroad university, right? Okay.
so that's a
You
little
guys, I
different. Yeah, it's
after
very
SMA have that. You just after SMA you just go straight to university, right?
yeah,
That's
that's
an
right.
advantage, guys.
Yeah, this is very different mandatory, right?
Yeah.
In Indonesia, we have mandatory for 12 years education, and Malaysia, we can choose for, I think, 11 to 12 years, right? You can take it for 11 years, yeah. That's a good, interesting things to know. Maybe I think it's enough, right? There's anything more?
Um, about the introduction, I think that's all. So let's just go to more about the pandemic and how it affect our schooling system here.
Yeah, that's really boring. Okay, for the second sessions, we will talk about how teachers approach to keep monitoring the students and ensure they have the education rightly, especially maybe from anesthesia. How about it?
Okay. We over here in Malaysia, we have this system that believing that no pupils shall be left behind, but it's quite difficult to provide the same access of education, even though the ministry and the school provide their best to provide equal access, but we just have to consider a demographic factor, even their socio-economic of the students. There are things that beyond our control, our system's control. So in order to curb that kind of disadvantage or that gap of educations, um, let's take the context of the pandemic, the recent COVID-19 pandemic. Okay, like us, the teachers in rural area, we have this like two options, but we are using both. We don't choose either one. We use both. The first option is the common online teaching. Okay, we do it by via WhatsApp group, via YouTube, via Google Form or quizzes or any other online platform that we can use. But the other option is using offline teaching. Offline teaching is like we we provide a module complete with instruction, and then we ourselves as the teacher send the homework to each of the pupils school. Yeah, like literally we send the homework to each of the pupil school. But if the let's say the pupil school is far away from our place, or it is quite far and unreachable, we ask a truck to deliver it to the estate, because most of my pupils, myself, stay in palm oil estate mill or sawmill, the processing wood and stuff. Okay, so we just call over a truck to give the homework to the pupils and distribute it and help us to distribute it. So it's kind of our alternative. But the disadvantage of the second option, offline work, is we cannot give immediate feedback like in online teaching. Okay, because in online teaching we can immediately say, oh, you did wrong here, you can improve this area. But vice versa with offline teaching, you cannot say like immediate feedback like that. We just receive back the homework and rewrite it, but cannot really explain it to the pupils what they did wrong. So I think it will some kind affect the pupils performance when they get back to the school. Okay, it's a kind of a worry for us, the teacher, especially the second language teacher like me teaching English. So it's quite difficult because these pupils, their exposure to English itself basically in school, they rarely use English in their home. They like usually use their native language or Malay, these two language.
Yeah.
The native language mostly like Murut, Iban, and some of them are Bugis descendants. So they basically just use these two language. So by the time when they come to school, their English will be kind of rusty, and that is a challenge for me to consider in the next week on Wednesday, 15th of July, we will open our school. So that's kind of a worry.
Oh, yeah, I think in Indonesia also have some cases like you said in a few areas, especially in unreachable area by access internet access, especially. So I don't know how to teachers handle it, but now I think technology have can be reached in any way, anytime, especially even in the kampung. I think so. In Indonesia, it's about 60 billion students. I was also one of voluntary in such children in Indonesia. So they frequently send me how the children grow up in Indonesia. So in Indonesia, about 60 billion students was schooled by online, whether from Zoom meeting or Webex, radio, and television too, which is a national program from ministry, like I said before. But unfortunately, you said as you too, is still not enough to make sure all the students got their knowledge as much as when they took at school. So in the system, I think not only teachers have some trust, right? But
Yeah.
the student also, the parents also have a big trust to control the kids to give much efforts to make sure the kids follow the education activity rightly, how many word, even offline or online, they have an access or an access. I think parents have taken an important role, I think. So in these cases, I think teachers have I mean, responsibility to give some education or for the parents how to teach the kids in at school, especially like you said, the parents are also native say you English is a native language, right, in Malaysia. Yeah.
And English as second language.
Or second language, I think. So how you explain to the parents to follow the kids to still even in a you can reach them, but the parents still control the kids how to keep studying in English, studying English with a teacher or something like that. How should give them? Do you have as
Okay.
give some I mean
A few pointers from my personal experience. I can relate with the scenario of parents assisting their children's academics, especially in this past few months of pandemic COVID-19, is that they're very accommodating at first, very supporting and motivating, but it's just that we have to realize that first of all, they are parents and they are not the teacher. Okay, their job is mainly focusing on parenting. So when there are several hindrances when they want to teach their children, but they can't because firstly, they're not confident enough of their core knowledge. They're like, teacher, bolehkah ajar anak saya begini? Saya tidak yakin mau ajar anak saya. Okay, and I'll be like, yeah, because most of the parents here are from low income parents. They're not that their academic background is not that developed. So basically, most of them barely pass their high school like that. So they're not very confident in accommodating their kids' study. So most of the time, the kids do their study of their own like that without assistance from their parents because their parents want to assist them, but they cannot afford to assist them academically. And some even cannot afford to assist them in economically, like providing the gadget that they need to access. And especially in my area, the line coverage is not that good. It's not that developed. So they're having a hard time. Like if I send on Monday, I send a task for them. Sometimes it could get like Tuesday or Wednesday, they submit it back to me. So it's quite difficult for them. And as a teacher, I have to understand that the differences in each of the pupils' household. Okay, we cannot force like one mold to fit the others. Okay, especially in this time of pandemic, we have to be very sensitive because some of my pupils are losing their jobs, yes, and they're having layoffs. So I have to be like really sensitive towards my pupils and their parents. Okay,
That's right.
because for them, safety is first, living is second, and education is after that. Okay, so if their safety is not terjamin like that, and their job is not terjamin too, they cannot focus on the education of their kids like that. So it's kind of sad to see the reality, but in comparison to the kids in urban area, it's kind of a gap, a huge gap. Yeah, because kids in town area, they have all the luxuries, they have all the conducive environment to do online teaching and learning. In comparison to pupils in rural school, they don't have access to all of that, and that is a gap that we can see really clearly compared, because my fellow teachers from other schools tell me their stories and I told them my stories. So we correlate like that, we learn from each other. And especially in this time, we as the teachers can only be sensitive towards the pupils. We cannot really force them. Yes, knowledge is important, but the most important part is their safety and their survival.
That's right. Yes, I think this is one of big problem for the teachers, also for the parents to how to make sure their kids have the education at optimum. Yeah, I think it's really I mean tantangan. So
Yeah.
maybe for the third sessions, we will talk how this pandemic will be affect the quality of education. Maybe for this fact, in fact, that in this pandemic, some of students have a potentially will have decreased literacy and numeracy skills, even though they have a drop out by school due to lack of the gadgets or facilities, internet facilities, so they have no some education. So even violence and child exploitations. Yeah, that is really amaze me because I can imagine how they in parents monitoring they still have exploitation, but that is the fact in Indonesia. So how about in Malaysia?
Okay, in what perspective you want to
Um,
see?
for all of them, even at the education, this pandemic especially for the children, how they grow up, how the mindsets on everything.
Okay. First of all, this pandemic has affected our education system really eventful year. I could say that 2020 year is a very eventful year because first of all, UPSR, the elementary school examination will be abolished. There's no UPSR this year. Yes, it's
As
usually
in
held in
Indonesia too, there's no national examination there's.
and then our PMR for the SMP pupils level,
Yeah.
it is abolished too this year. There will be no PMR in October. And the last one is SPM. It is not abolished. It is still there because it's important for pupils, for their students' college entrance result, right? They need SPM to enter a college, foundation level, A level. So SPM is still there, but it will be postponed until next year, January.
Oh, but it's
Usually it is held in October and December, but it will be postponed until next year.
oh, so this is postponed. I think it's canceled.
No,
Yeah. So
it
how do they prepare to get in university level?
oh, okay.
They
So
open or just they postpone or just they play or something like that? How?
They just postpone the examination system, but it will be going on as usual. Okay, because the first stage of schooling system starts with Form 5 students. Okay, because they'll be sitting for SPM or Ujian Nasional. That is a very important exam in Malaysia. So they're going in the school first.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
right. Okay, I think that's it. But for all of that, so it's actually big gain for educational system, especially for how they learn at school, how they learn at home, especially teachers and parents. Both of them have a same roles how to control their kids. So I think it's important that the teacher gives some guidance how to follow in the guidance for the parents how to follow up the children's while they school at home. So I think some of teachers in Indonesia also have done it how to give some guidance to the parents how to make sure the children school at home. Okay, I think it's enough for the first sessions on your perceptions instead of the session before about quality of education, how it will be affected to the student after opportunities to get over on next education levels, whether from SK or primary school, I mean, from Sekolah Menengah Kebangsaan, secondary school, and yeah, how about you? What do you think about the quality of education will be affected to the students?
Oh, especially I think the most affected level of pupils will be affected by this pandemic will be preschool and elementary school, I could say, because they're like a very young age that needs more assistance than other pupils level. Like SMK pupils, they can still self-study, they can think for themselves, they have discipline. But for elementary school pupils and especially the preschoolers, they need more guidance from the teachers. So it will especially affect their literacy level, okay? Especially in the preschool and in the elementary school level. But as you said previously, in SMK level, the dropout level will be increasing, I think,
Yeah,
severely, because some of the high schoolers, they have this perception that I shall help my family because surviving comes first, and then education comes second, because they need to provide for their family first, especially those coming from a very extreme poverty. So it's kind of a dilemma for the pupils. Rather than the teacher, I think this places quite a burden for the pupils themselves. This pandemic forces the pupils, the students, the high school students to be more mature, like to accelerate their maturity. Okay?
yeah, okay, that's it. Okay, for the last sessions, Astia, what's your thoughts and suggestions either for Malaysian students and also Indonesian students, especially on this pandemic seasons? I mean, not only student, maybe you have some advice or helps for the teachers also as the same professions as a teachers. How?
Okay, for the pupils, have uh, I have this belief that learning is a lifelong process. So it doesn't mean that if you miss a few months of school, you cannot catch it back. It kind of uh, comes back to you as a pupils to show your effort, okay? Because I'm sure the teacher will be more than happy to help you catch up all the study that you have missed and what skills you haven't learned during this pandemic. I'm sure the teachers will be helpful, okay? Will be more than glad to help as long as you have the effort to catch all the missing chapters and all, okay? Okay, it really depends on the individual itself. You should always think that learning is a lifelong process rather than a time-based process. Like, I should learn this in this stage, I should learn this in high school. No, I think you should kind of master it and keep it, because berilmu tanpa beramal is like kind of a pity, I think.
Yeah.
So you need to have the ilmu and then you practice it and practice it. So don't worry too much about missing a few months of school. If you have the efforts, I'm sure that you can catch it back up. You can do it.
Yeah, that's right. So, I think it was. Let me.
For the teacher's perspective, when you go back to the school, please get rid of the mentality that say, let past be bygone. It's a past. No, you should recheck what the pupils self-learn at home and what your input will be given to them, okay? If these two elements are merged, it will surely give the best product for the pupils, okay? Because we want to facilitate the pupils' development, their potential growth. So it's best when you recheck all their self-learning when they're at home. Okay, simply just like putting a pop quiz like that, like having a forum or a discussion, as simple as that. No need to go through all the formal examination and stuff. Basically, just a hearty discussion among the pupils over what they've learned and what you've taught over the past few months will be sufficient, I think. And I think it will be quite enjoyable for the pupils, because if you give them a discussion and forum style of teaching, they'll be kind of relaxed to share their thoughts with you. Compare if you give them a written quiz or written examination, they'll be like, deg-degan, like, oh my God, what should I write, like that.
Yeah, that's right. Okay, that's it. Okay.
Yeah, I think
You have a pretty great dedication, I think, as a teacher. Not only you, but all the teachers of all the world will have to give them efforts how to make sure they students to get the knowledge and education system as correctly. So I love the word from UNICEF where it said every child has the right to grow up in safe and inclusive environment. So in this case, I mean this for pandemic and the environment important on children's needs, who is their environment, of course for the parents, their family, and some of the teachers. So I think it's enough for today. I'm really grateful that I could have sharing session with my old friend Asnia from Malaysia. It's been a long time. We don't meet it, and after that we meet again. So thank you, Asnia. Hope you having great and really wanting to meet you as soon as possible. Bye, guys.